Bladen County, where we are right now, is ground zero when it comes to last fall's absentee ballot fraud case. So is that impacting voters here, and whether or not they choose to go to the polls for the special election? We set to find out. Does all the stuff that go on make you question whether your vote does count?
Yes, it does.
Democrats and Republicans alike frustrated by what played out in Bladen County last fall.
It's the most dishonest thing that I can see happening, but unfortunately, I've seen it for years and years and years.
Republican Mark Harris won this county with more than 57% of the vote. But before long, accusations began to surface that a political operative hired by Harris oversaw an illegal ballot harvesting operation. Some pass this off as nothing new for Bladen County, where claims of fraud have happened before.
It's not strictly Republican. It's gone both ways. And we've known about it for years, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Local party leaders are working to keep voters engaged, going door to door, holding meetings, and posting to social media.
We're moving forward. We're not going to relitigate the past. We're going to move forward from here.
If we can reinstate the belief that our vote does count, and we can give that a surety to the citizen, then we can again have two parties working for the betterment of Bladen County.
For now, voters we spoke with say they're still planning to head to the polls.
In every state, every county, there's going to be something crooked going on. But if you do not vote, then you have no say-so in what happens in the government.
I've never missed a vote, and I don't plan on doing it now. And I'm hoping things will change.
Tuesday, we'll be talking to voters in Robeson County as our trek across the 9th District continues. A reminder that early voting is happening right now, and Election Day is Tuesday, September 10th. Reporting in Bladen County, I'm Kevin Fry, Spectrum News. You can consider Robeson County a political mixed bag. It went for Obama twice, Trump in 2016, and then Democrat Dan McCready won here last fall. So what should we expect in a few weeks?
I'm really kind of torn.
With just days left to make a decision, unaffiliated voter Audrey Cox is not saying who she's voting for. What are you looking for in a candidate when it comes to this race?
That really have the strong interest of the people, not just about what might be a personal gain for their platform.
Robeson County could be one to watch come Election Day. It is diverse. The latest demographic data showing the population is split fairly evenly between whites, African Americans, and Native Americans. The county's Republican chairman, Philip Stevens, says this can make politics here complicated.
None of these demographics vote in blocks. This county is one of the most diverse counties in the nation. It's a third of each demographic. And if you took all the white voters, for example, and they all voted for Trump, Trump would still not have won this county.
Stevens says Trump won here in part because of his economic message. The county has struggled economically, with recent hurricanes adding an extra gut punch. Among voters we spoke with, the reasons behind their votes varied. This woman is backing Republican Dan Bishop.
I've just been so disappointed by the way the Democrats are acting in Congress. I just hurting people. I just don't have no confidence in them anymore.
This gentleman wants to see Democrat Dan McCready win.
He struck me as an upright man, Army vet, went to Iraq, and I've been to Vietnam, so we're on the same wavelength.
Wednesday, we pick up our tour of the 9th District in Richmond County, a chance to talk to you, the voter, and get a better sense of what's going on the ground. A reminder that Election Day is Tuesday, September 10th. Reporting in Robeson County, I'm Kevin Fry, Spectrum News. The lunch rush is on at the Oasis Sandwich Shop in downtown Monroe, but there's more than just hot dogs on the menu.
I'm very undecided. They take pot shots at each other, which I think is terrible.
With just days left before the special election, folks here can't seem to escape the campaign ads, and that's left some unsure of what to do at the polls.
The ads and everything that you're hearing, whether you want to or not, are all about negativity, and we need to move past that.
Not everyone is undecided, though. Shirley Balcom says she's backing Republican Dan Bishop, citing his conservative background.
I just believe that he is more in line with what we believe government should be.
Union County is a longtime Republican stronghold. The Republican in last fall's congressional matchup, Mark Harris, got nearly 60% of the vote here. Recent Republican presidential candidates have done even better in this county. It's for this reason that the local Republican chairwoman says that if Dan Bishop wants to win, this part of the district is very important.
Union County has a lot of Republican voters, and they often count on Union County to make up for deficits of Republican voters in other counties.
Allison Powers says they're making phone calls and posting online, reminding people to go vote. Across the aisle, the county's Democratic Party is not backing down. The chair says they've been going door to door, hoping to share Dan McCready's message. She says health care is an important issue here, and she hopes McCready's ideas will resonate.
I think people want to know exactly how, if Dan gets elected, how he's going to help their lives. And that's what we try to focus on.
Election Day is Tuesday, September 10th. In Monroe, Kevin Fry, Spectrum News. After months of campaigning, it all comes down to this.
I encourage people to get out here and vote because that's why we're given this opportunity.
Folks in the town of Matthews dropped by the library Friday to vote early. There's just days left before Election Day, and both candidates are making their final push, phone banking and knocking on doors.
Every day this campaign has gotten better.
Republican Dan Bishop, who has been out fundraised by his Democratic rival, is getting a boost from national conservative groups that are spending millions on ad buys in this traditionally Republican district.
They've been active in the campaign to help us even up a playing field which was otherwise horribly tilted.
Special guests are also dropping by to voice their support for the candidate, including President Donald Trump, scheduled to hold a rally in Fayetteville.
I think it'll be a great opportunity for people to see the president and hear from the president, because the president believes this race is important.
How do you combat having the president here on the very last day before the election day?
We're just going to keep doing our thing. Keep talking with voters.
Across the aisle, Democrat Dan McCready is emphasizing his ground game. He says they've had more than 2,000 people volunteer with the campaign.
In the face of all these negative attack ads, if we actually have somebody talking with them at the doors or on the phone about needing to work together, bring this country together to lower healthcare costs and strengthen our public schools, I think that can really cut through.
It's worth noting that McCready's camp is also receiving assistance from outside spending groups. Internal polling for both sides shows this race to be neck and neck, meaning every vote is going to count. Reporting in Matthews, I'm Kevin Fry, Spectrum News. Dan Bishop himself told me that this race could be perceived as perhaps the canary in the coal mine, but does the Trump campaign see it that way? Bishop, of course, has really embraced a lot of Trump's tactics. He has gone after the so-called squad of more progressive Democrats on Capitol Hill. So does the Trump campaign see this as a preview? Is there something to be learned here? Here's what the spokeswoman told me.
It's 2020. The president will be on the ballot. He mobilizes Democrats to come out in his favor. He mobilizes independents and swing voters and has a whole unique coalition that doesn't necessarily just turn out in a Republican versus Democrat generic congressional race. So this is an important race, but I wouldn't say that it's indicative of how 2020 will turn out.
Of course, it is worth noting that this district is traditionally Republican. It's been, of course, sitting empty for about 9 months. But the latest polling suggests that Dan McCready, the Democrat, as well as Dan Bishop, are basically tied. That's internally what we're hearing from both sides of the aisle. So the question is really, how is this going to turn out? It's going to come down to turnout. It's going to come down to really who heads to the polls, Tim. This is going to be a tight race. And this is typically, though, a Republican district, and so I did ask the campaign spokeswoman about that. I mean, how do you kind of justify that? And she basically points back to what we have heard before, which is the fact that McCready has been doing this now for several months, basically 2 years of campaigning, whereas Dan Bishop has really only been the candidate on the Republican side officially since May. So that was somewhat of an advantage. We've also talked about the fact that this race is being seen from the national perspective in some sense. It's kind of a sign of potential things to come in 2020. And it goes without saying that there are several folks here with their Trump gear, their Trump hats. So especially here, those folks, part of the Trump coalition, are appearing at this event tonight. Some of them, one of the volunteers we spoke to, said that he had helped with the Trump campaign a few years ago.